21 WFMJ, Youngstown.
Coming up on 21 News 5 p.m., the skies opened up over Boardman Sunday afternoon and an EF0 tornado touched down. The end result, lots and lots of flooding again. What could be done to provide some relief? He wants to be the governor of Ohio for another 4 years. I'm talking one-on-one with Governor Mike DeWine about flooding relief, abortion, inflation, all of those top-of-mind topics during this political season. Now, Labor Day marks the kickoff to the campaign season. I'm talking politics with moderator of Meet the Press, Chuck Todd, specifically that U.S. Senate seat. Why this race would not even be close if someone other than J.D. Vance were running. We're going to dig into that issue a little bit. And you see those signs up at your favorite restaurant and coffee shop. They're everywhere. Help wanted. They need workers. And on this Labor Day, we're going to take the pulse of the local labor market. Your 5 p.m. news starts right now.
Locally owned, locally connected. This is 21 News 5 p.m.
A lot to dig into tonight for our very first 5 p.m. newscast, so welcome. We are coming on the air with some up-close images of the flooding, the massive flooding in the Boardman area. Sunday's storm was pretty epic. Rapid rising water left some drivers stranded, basements flooded, businesses with damage. And this is a look inside the Tobacco Tavern. This is right across from the Southern Park Mall. After parts of its roof were completely ripped away, the National Weather Service confirms that a tornado touched down right here at this Boardman location at around 5:45 Sunday evening. That storm caused some structural damage to buildings like the one that you're seeing at the Tobacco Tavern. So a lot to get into as that cleanup continues. This big round of flooding brings up a lot of memories of the massive floods that hit the area back in 2019. The township then started rebuilding and working on a remediation plan to stop this from happening again. How is that plan working now? Matt Stone is live with us from the newsroom. Matt, what are the township officials telling you about the ongoing damage control and the work that they're doing there? All right, we're going to work to get
since that flooding occurred in 2019. Now, he says there was 4 inches of rain back then, 4 inches of rain last night, and there's only so much you can do with all that rain coming down at once. But he says that with the creation of the ABC Water District, they have been able to put in some projects to alleviate some of the flooding in the township. Now, he pointed to a spot over in Wildwood area of Boardman Township where they demolished 12 different homes in that area that routinely got flooded. He says that getting rid of those homes did help some of the flooding in that area. But as far as everything else goes, again, a lot of the infrastructure in that area, as far as the storm sewers, very old, some from the 1930s, some from the 1970s, and they weren't built to withstand 4 inches of rain or even really 2 inches of rain in a small amount of time that occurred in 2019 and also yesterday. Now, having said that, they do have some future projects on the way, specifically a large stormwater basin area where the current Market Street Elementary School is located in Market Street. That's going to hold back 1 million gallons of stormwater. They hope to get that project started next week, but until that time, a lot of these families in Boardman Township are wondering what can they do as soon as possible to help us, because these events keep happening again and again. Lindsay, back to you.
Yeah, Matt, thank you for that report. A lot of money spent, a lot of basements damaged, a lot of homes. Governor Mike DeWine, he's making his rounds at the Canfield Fair on its last day. And on the issues, we're talking with him about flooding in the valley. He'll also be talking with us after the break on just how the state can help, maybe allocate some money or resources for cleanup, plus some of the other big issues heading into the November midterms like inflation and, of course, abortion. Now to another big story developing here in the valley. Police are working to figure out what exactly caused a gun to go off during a fight at the Canfield Fair Saturday night. 7 juveniles, 3 adults were written summons for disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and obstruction. A 14-year-old with a pistol was taken to jail. We're told it was a pistol, not another type of gun that was rumored to be involved here. Fair Director George Roman says that this has never happened at the fair before, and they've since beefed up their security right after it happened, meaning more officers patrolling the grounds. Roman also tells us that they do not allow guns on the fairground property, but it's just not clear how that is enforced. So a lot of questions. Today is the last day of the Canfield Fair. In 2021, we looked back. We came out of the pandemic restrictions then, and attendance numbers hit about 285,000 visitors. Canfield Fair Board President Bob Jarvis joins us now. And Bob, you're out at the fair tonight. I want to first ask you about the gunfire that went off Saturday evening following the arrests. Were there some challenges for the fair security to get to that scene? Did you have any trouble with your response?
No, the fair security was excellent. The Sheriff's Department, OSP, and our fair police responded quickly. They responded really professional, and they did an amazing job. It was quite an amazing thing to watch unfold.
Now, we're hearing accounts from people who were there. They say it was scary. I talked to a mom who said her teenage daughter was running, frightened. Are you considering maybe adding more security, working with local police, or tightening up your entrances given the event?
We added a lot of security that next day. We will continue to look at security. We will meet with the Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Green. We will follow his recommendations. And yes, we as a board will meet then after that, and we will do whatever is recommended and we feel is best for the fair growers.
Now, we talked about, coming out of the pandemic. How is your attendance this year so far from the numbers that you've gathered already? You're always saying you're watching for next year. What are you going to add next as well?
I'm sorry, you broke up.
That's okay. We'll try it again. How is attendance looking so far this year? I know the weather's been, a little rainy. Are you seeing some big numbers?
We were breaking every day till the rain hit. We were 10 to 15% up since clear back to 2012, and that was until we got the rain. We're a little behind now, but people are coming out. They're enjoying our fair, and we're having a great time.
Okay, and real quick, you say always plan for the next fair the day after it's over, so work starts tomorrow. What will you add or maybe change for the next fair season next year? I think a lot of us enjoy this.
Don't know yet. We're all kind of still half asleep. We will get on that. Like you said, probably Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll start talking about it. We're definitely trying to enhance our junior fair. We're trying to add more programs like we added the cook-off this year. We want to add more things for the kids to get involved in. We'll always look at our concerts. We'll look at different venues coming in as far as, different people to showcase what they do. So a lot of options out there. We just got to sit down as a board, recap this year, and then start for next year.
All right, Canfield Fair Board President Bob Jarvis joining us live from the fair. One of the last days of summer. We're trying to squeeze in the fun. Thank you for joining us. All right, and a lot of families, we really did try to squeeze in all of the fair fun we could get. Dodging rain, yeah, it was tricky, but meteorologist Andrew DiPaolo is here with a look at our forecast. Can we get on the Ferris wheel?
Hi, Lindsay. Nice to join you on our first 5 p.m. broadcast here. I know both of you are excited and I are excited. We really had beautiful weather for the Canfield Fair up until yesterday. And yeah, like you said, plenty of opportunity this evening to get out there to the Canfield Fair for the final day on this Labor Day and enjoy some of that fair food or maybe a last ride or two before many of us get back to school here and kind of wrap up our summer. The main story, though, talking yesterday was, of course, that EF0 tornado, which I'm going to be talking about in length coming up here in a few minutes. But certainly it was that flash flooding, 3 inches of rain plus from Trumbull to Mercer County. But unfortunately, yet again, it was Boardman Township seeing over 4 inches of rain. Right now, though, a completely different story over the last 12 hours. In fact, not much popping up here as far as our rainfall totals go. A few hundredths of an inch maybe to maybe a tenth or so of rain. That's really all about it. Now, let's move over to our southwest. That's where, unfortunately, a lot of areas saw some heavier rain. In fact, areas seeing 4, 5 inches of rain over a really quick period of time. That really was the unfortunate thing, dealing with that flash flooding yet again in some of those communities that we saw it yesterday. So overall, we did dodge a lot of those bullets. I think mainly that slow moving heavy rain really stayed off to our west and our southwest. But overall into this evening, we're really not talking about a whole lot coming our way. In fact, everything really starting to quiet down here heading into the next few hours. Mostly cloudy in Boardman on our Briarfield Healthcare traffic camera. Temperatures nice and comfortable in the mid-70s if you were planning to head out and about. Not much to really talk about here going over the next few hours, Lindsay. In fact, it's going to be a pretty quiet night overall. Temperature right now on radar, the only thing we're really keeping a close eye on is some of this more moderate rain that's pushing through the Warren, Cortland area, picking up a little bit in intensity, but not necessarily a slow mover. So this is drifting off to the southeast. Overall, though, we'll keep a close eye on this over the next few hours here, and everything really looking pretty nice heading into the evening. As we zoom out, though, still currently under a flood watch, and most of the state is, and that includes all 5 counties of our viewing area. That will be wrapped up this evening. They'll let that expire heading into this evening, but this evening especially not going to be terrible. We'll keep a close eye on a couple of different cells that pop up here over the next few hours, and really kind of try and see if anything really kind of gets a little intense as far as these cells go. But I really don't think we're dealing with much more other than a few light or maybe even moderate showers moving forward here. Let's take a quick check of that 7-day forecast. 77 degrees on our Wednesday, Lindsay. Tomorrow, 75. Isolated scattered showers both Tuesday and Wednesday, and then 80 to 82 Thursday and Friday. The 80s return and stick around for Saturday, but that chance for showers and maybe a thunderstorm returns this weekend as well. Coming up in just a few minutes, I'll be talking about the analysis of that very quick EF0 tornado that touched down in Boardman yesterday.
I can't believe the roof got ripped off at that business. That's incredible video. But so glad everyone's okay. No one was hurt.
No one was around there. No one was hurt, but a little bit of that damage, but it was very quick. Wait till you see how short in length it was. We'll be talking about that and how the National Weather Service breaks down their analysis and rates some of these tornadoes.
Yeah, well, if you're hearing about it, we're talking about it all hour long. Here we go. Labor Day marks the last hurrah of summer, and this year Buell Park in Hermitage celebrated its 107th Buell Day. This morning's events started with a parade followed by a lot of family-friendly activities. Food, live music, games are still on the offer after more than a century of this celebration. The park also recognizing a few who made a big impact on our area.
We'll honor 3 local citizens who have contributed greatly to the community in Vicki Lingner, Mark Longetti, and Michael Wright. We'll honor them at the opening ceremony.
The first Buell Day celebration took place 106 years ago, back in 1915, when Buell Farm was formally opened. Park officials say that the parade has never been rained out and that it stands to this day. Looks like a lot of fun in the bounce house there. After the break, I'm going to talk with Ohio Governor Mike DeWine one-on-one on the issues impacting Ohioans ahead of the November elections. Those midterms are right around the corner. Stay with us. We're just getting started.
Closed captioning is made possible by Window World, the nation's largest exterior remodeler. Visit windowworldyoungstown.com.
The indictment of a
All right, here's some of the top topics trending on Twitter at 5. Labor Day takes the #1 spot for obvious reasons. Hope you're having fun. Special master trends after a judge agrees to appoint one to review the records that were seized from former President Trump's home. So maybe he's going to learn a little bit more about what they took there. In medicine, pharma trends after Biden talks out-of-pocket costs for those prescription drugs. Tylenol also trending after TikTok trend discussing patients who say Tylenol just doesn't work for them. And in sports, rounding out the top 5 at 5, Manny Gonzalez is trending as the Blue Jays take on the Orioles. 21 News is your place for politics, and Labor Day weekend is considered the kickoff for the campaign season this fall. That includes some big statewide races. You often run into campaign swag and signs at the Canfield Fair. Joining us live from the 21 WFMJ tent at the fair is Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. Governor, thank you for joining us.
You know, it's always great to be at the Canfield Fair. This is just an amazing fair, how many people come. How big it is, and you know, it's just a lot of fun, particularly to talk to the young people who are in the junior fair, kids who are competing. Fran and I just talked to a young lady who's 2nd grade, and she was telling us about, you know, how excited she was about it.
campaign, Governor. But first, we must ask you, we had some devastating flooding in Boardman. It happened yesterday. That cleanup is ongoing. What kind of state relief or funding can the state provide to help folks in Boardman with the flooding?
Our EMS people are directly involved. We've got a very, very good team, experienced people. So, you know, we certainly always do everything that we can.
Ohioans are like trying to get by financially right now with inflation still high. Consumer debt is rising. How are you going to find ways to further help people in Ohio with inflation?
We know we're creating more jobs in Ohio every single day than we have people to fill them. That's sort of a good problem. The unemployment is very low. It's historically low. And Ohio is moving. I mean, we are moving forward. You know, Fran and I had the opportunity to be here in the Valley just a few days ago to see the new cell plant, battery plant. You know, that really is about the future. And already, I think 800 people employed there. So our goal is to make sure that we're staying up with, as the economy changes, as we move, for example, in automobiles, as we move from the combustion engine to electric. You know, we need to be right in there, and we are. The other thing that we're really focusing a lot on is making sure that every Ohioan has the ability to live up to his or her God-given potential. And if you just look at high school kids, you know, we're seeing our career centers are doing a very, very good job. They're working with local businesses to make sure that that junior, that senior, you know, has the opportunity when they get out to go into a good paying job. And, you know, we're doing a lot better in that area. We just have to continue to work to make sure every Ohioan can live up to their full God-given potential.
The gas prices are still high. What about suspending the statewide gas tax? Are you still opposed to that?
I think it would be a big mistake. I think people would look back 6 months from now or a year from now when they saw roads not getting built, when they saw more potholes. You know, that would just be a mistake, because that would shut our money down. And that's, you know, the money that we get for our roads comes almost exclusively from the gasoline tax that we pay when we fill up our tank. And so I know people are hurting. I know the price is still high. It's come down some, but it's still high. But I think it would be a temporary, maybe a temporary help a little bit. But in the long run, I think people in Ohio would say, look, well, what in the world was the governor thinking? You know, it does take money to build our roads and to keep them up, and I think that's important that we do. It's really important for our economic future. We're located, you know, Ohio's centrally located in this country. A day's drive from here is 60% of the population of the entire country. And so our roads give us a critical advantage and helps us get more jobs to come to Ohio, more companies to locate in Ohio.
Now,
but it's just important we keep our roads up.
Governor, you sent the National Guard to help food banks during the pandemic. We saw those long lines of folks that needed food. Now the food banks are running low on food. It's hard to see those shelves partially empty, almost all the way empty at some points if you go to the Second Harvest Food Bank. Any chance you could use some of that ARP money or state funding that you have to help out?
Well, you know, I'm having a hard time hearing the exact question, but I think we're talking about food banks. You know, the farming groups in this state have given us, I think, a very good proposal. And that is that we authorized $15 million. The money would go for food banks to be able to purchase products that are, you know, grown here in the state of Ohio. And I think that's something that would be very, very helpful. You know, Fran, my wife Fran, is very interested in nutrition. She's visited a number of the food banks. So this is vitally important. So to get this money, of course, we have to get the legislature to agree to it. And, you know, we've been talking to the legislature about that, and I'm pretty confident that we're going to be able to, you know, get the money to help and assist our food banks. It's not just that we have more people asking and more people who need the help. The other problem is that the food that normally comes from the federal government, the food banks tell me many times it's delayed, many times it's not arriving. And so that puts the food banks in a difficult situation as well.
Okay, The Trafalgar Group's latest poll on August 16th and the 30th, they have you leading Nan Whaley 54% to 38%. Emerson College poll also has you up 16 points. Do you see a red wave for the midterms this coming November?
Well, I don't think we can tell yet. And, you know, I'm running for office. I'm running for re-election as governor. And what I've learned is you can't take anything for granted. You know, Fran and I are out here. We're at several fairs today, some parades, and it gives me a chance to come out and talk with the people and explain to them what I've done, but also, frankly, listen to what their concerns are, what they're worried about. So retail politics, I think, is very, very important, and I'm going to continue to do that. So I'm not talking about a red wave. I'm not talking about any slam dunk. I run very hard. I run very, you know, take absolutely nothing for granted. You can't take the voters for granted. You shouldn't take them for granted. You know, you should ask for their vote, and that's what I'm doing.
One last question. You're facing some criticism from pro-abortion groups, voters who feel that heartbeat bill goes a little too far to limit abortion. Would you be open to extending the limit past 6 weeks on abortion limits?
Look, you know, we passed the heartbeat bill. That's a bill that I signed. It passed by a very big margin in the legislature. What it simply says, you know, is abortions are not allowed once you can detect the heartbeat. There are exceptions built into the law. I think that when the legislature comes back after the election, they've told us that they will be back in session in November. You know, all these issues having to do with abortion, what the exceptions should be, et cetera, certainly are going to be debated by the General Assembly, and we'll address those issues then. Look, people come up to me at the fair, every fair I've been at, I've been at many fairs, and they talk to me about a lot of different issues. This is an issue that they sometimes talk to me about, and you know, this is the time now when they should be talking to their legislators as well, and I know they're doing that as well.
All right, we'll see what happens on that front and many more. Thank you so much for joining us live from the Canfield Fair. Enjoy your visit there. All right, and tomorrow on 21 News at 5, I'll be talking one-on-one with Democratic candidate for governor Nan Whaley. We're talking the issues. She has a different take on abortion, and, you know, could the voters go to the ballot box to decide on that and much more. She trails in the polls, so we're going to talk to her about her chances and more candidates in big statewide races all week long. You're not going to want to miss it. You know, cleanup after last night's flooding has been a big priority for a lot of people this Labor Day, including was hit hard for the second time in 3 years. Let's go now to Derek Steyer with more on the story that you're going to want to know more about tonight on 21 News at 6. Now, Derek, you guys are working hard in the newsroom on this. I know our reporters have been out all day. What do we know so far?
Yeah, good evening, Lindsay. You know, lightning wasn't supposed to strike twice, but for the Save-A-Lot grocery store at the Boardman Plaza, it sure did. You may recall back in 2019 when the big floodwaters came then, this store was hit hard. 6 to 8 inches of water was inside that store. They basically had to gut the whole thing, completely renovated, and they were closed for months. But wouldn't you know it, the store was flooded again last night, excuse me. But while the parking lot had several feet of water, the store didn't get nearly as much. Only 3 inches of water, was not up to the shelving, which is a good thing. They weren't going to lose a whole lot of product. Now, they are going to lose their fresh meat and their fresh produce that they have in the store, but that's because the store is going to be closed for a couple of days. The silver lining here is the renovations that took place back in 2019. What they did helped them this time around. And what they did is they put a floodgate or a sewer gate on their main sewer line so that they didn't have sewer backflow coming up like they did last year. Also, they used a lot of concrete fiberboard instead of drywall. You know, if you have a flood, drywall basically is ruined at that point. So they're going to be able to open up a lot sooner. The goal here is to open back up by Wednesday. So just a couple of days that they're going to be closed. Right now, though, they just need to get dried out. They need to get everything cleaned and sanitized, and then they can reopen for their customers. Coming up tonight on 21 News at 6, Meredith Lee will show you those cleanup efforts, and she'll have more on that. Let's go back
she's been hard at work all day long. Thank you, Derek. I know you're going to have all of the stories. I appreciate it. Good checking in with you here on the 5 p.m. news. All right, well, up next, after confirmation that a tornado did touch down right here in the valley last night, we are talking with Andrew about the strength of those winds. and how that perfect storm came together. Keep it here.
And Lindsay, I'll have that. Plus, look into your forecast here over tonight and in the next 7 days. Tonight, though, you might want to grab that umbrella if you're heading out. More widespread activity. Then things quieting down as we head into the next few hours, heading into early tomorrow morning. A shower might be around, but then showers returning both on our Tuesday afternoon and into our Wednesday. We'll break it all down. Plus, have that analysis of yesterday's tornado. That's just in a few minutes. First 21 News at 5 p.m. We'll be back after this break.
Do you have...
All right, welcome back. It is the last day of the Canfield Fair, and there's still so much going on all across the fairgrounds if you go out. And it all caps off tonight with the second grandstand concert with John Fogerty. He's going to rock it out with songs like one of my favorite, Fortunate Son. Might have jammed on that on the way in, feeling pretty fortunate tonight. And Fogerty's show, it all kicks off at 7 o'clock this evening. But with reading the forecast, will these events tonight still go off without a hitch? Our Aaron Simonek is there with more information. Hi, Aaron.
Hey, Lindsay, if you went to the Sam Hunt concert like I did last night, you know how much of a muddy mess it was getting out of that parking lot. Now, so far, the John Fogerty concert is still set to kick off at 7 p.m. tonight. But of course, with that rain expected, we could see some delays if you are going to tonight's concert. Now, last night, there was a few hours rain delay with Sam Hunt. So if that does happen again, that crowd should expect a similar situation. The concert will be kicking off, though, rain or shine, even if there are some delays. Something a lot of people don't know if they want to avoid that grassy parking situation, to avoid all of that mud mixed with the rain. What they can do is actually park off-site. MCCTC does provide a free shuttle. This isn't new, but it's something that a lot of people don't know. So if people do want to avoid that muddy mess getting out of the concert, they can always utilize off-site parking as well. Fair officials will be directing traffic to also park on higher grass grounds as well. So I'll be live on 21 News at 6 as John Fogerty concert goers start to come in. But for now, Lindsay, I'll send it back over to you.
And for the information, as we told you earlier in the hour, dozens of businesses, hundreds of homes are now forced to clean up after storms on Sunday evening. The National Weather Service confirms an EF0 tornado did touch down in Boardman. Andrew DePaulo joining us now with a breakdown on how strong this storm was, how the conditions really lined up for this to form. You explain it.
Hey, Lindsay. Yeah, good evening to you. Usually with EF0 tornadoes, which is the most common type of tornado, especially that we see around here, sometimes you get a few pictures of some trees down, large branches down. It wasn't as photogenic as we saw yesterday. Really lucky to get this Twitter video in. Check out this video. Check out and this is exactly what you're seeing. You're seeing that debris from those businesses on California Boulevard. You're seeing that brief touchdown. You can even tell that brief rotation in that form coming together. Really, really amazing video to see this. We don't see this often, to see that debris really spewing up from those businesses right over there. And actually check out this drone video I had sent in to me just as I was breaking earlier on this afternoon. The National Weather Service confirmed that as an EF0 tornado. Check out some of this drone video that was sent in. The man is actually from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He was visiting some of his family here. He's a trained storm spotter, and he actually sent this video into me. You could tell that damage right on that awning, right in through there. This is that strip plaza right behind the Southern Park Mall, right on California Boulevard. You're going to tell over my shoulder here some of that damage, completely ripping off different panels and shingles of the roof. So it was brief, but it did some decent damage to those businesses right there. And when the National Weather Service looks at damage like this, it was actually that video that allowed them to confirm it as an EF0 tornado. It's something called the Enhanced Vegeta Scale. We actually rank these by not only the damage, but the winds that some of these tornadoes will cause. And those winds yesterday gusted up to 80 miles per hour, ranking it right at an EF0. This is going to be defined as minor damage, so shingles blown off like you saw, damage to some surrounding properties, anything like telephone poles or trees. And it was actually that video, Lindsay, that helped the National Weather Service. They actually weren't on site, but that drone video was so good that they actually determined it straight from that video that it was an EF0 tornado. Pretty remarkable stuff to see that. Not only that video of how photogenic it was in real time, but then the aftermath too with that drone video.
All right, pretty incredible stuff. I can't believe it. I know the rain came down real hard, Andrew, and we knew we had to get out of the fair. It was time. Luckily, in just enough time. Glad no one was hurt. All right, and as we take a look at, maybe the forecast ahead, things aren't looking so bad, so hopefully you have fun at the fair tonight. President Biden, he's also making a stop, not in Canfield, but in Pittsburgh this evening for its annual Labor Day parade. He's also scheduled to address workers at a Labor Day rally in just a few moments from now.
All over this country. You're unbelievable. You're awesome, Mr. President.
Deliver remarks celebrating the holiday and the dignity of American workers alongside PA steel workers that work with their hands. This is labor, folks. And Biden's remarks come up as a Gallup poll says American approval of labor unions is now 71%. This is at its highest level since 1965. Gas prices continued their more than 2-month decline over this holiday weekend. The prices have been falling ever since the national average for unleaded gasoline peaked at just under $5.02 per gallon on June 14th. Well, AAA reports the price at the pump Monday was $3.79 per gallon nationally. Experts say that the prices will continue to fall as Americans drive less overall and try to conserve the fuel. So that's why they're going down. And speaking of gas prices, Sheetz is cutting the price of diesel to $4.49 through the rest of September. This is in celebration of Truck Driver Appreciation Week. The national average for diesel is $5.06 a gallon, so the price cut will be a welcome change for those folks. Sheetz is also offering truck drivers other free perks that can be found by downloading the Sheetz mobile app. So MTO on the go, and you get some deals while you're filling up. Pretty good. Extreme weather is wreaking havoc coast to coast this Labor Day as the end of summer travelers prepare for a busy roadway and the skies on their way home. From floods to fires to the northeast to the west, where millions of people are still under severe weather watches. Karen Kafa has the latest.
As millions of Americans wind down the holiday weekend, extreme weather changing plans from excessive heat in the west.
I would say just go out early in the morning and then stay home. That's how I would describe it. It is hot.
To flood threats up and down the east from Alabama to Maine, stemming from the same system that soaked northwest Georgia.
This is my house in the middle of all this water.
That Georgia rainfall, more than a foot on Sunday with more expected Monday. So heavy that meteorologists estimate it is at least a 1 in 1,000 year event. Labor Day Monday saw at least 80 million Americans under flood watches, including major cities like Boston, New York, and Atlanta. Meanwhile, in the West, Oregon, Idaho, and California have been feeling the heat for days, with temperatures approaching and in some cases topping the triple-digit mark.
Oh my gosh, you walk out of the store with an ice cream cone and it melts in your hand. This is ridiculous.
That's straining power systems and fueling dangerous fires. The Mill Fire, one of 2 fires which broke out in Northern California Friday, turned deadly Sunday.
We have lost 2 people to this fire.
The western heat wave is expected to continue past the Labor Day weekend, with temperatures running about 15 to 20 degrees above normal. I'm Karen Kafa reporting.
A place that may stir up some memories for you of your summers past in Niles will soon become a pile of rubble tomorrow. Crews are going to begin demolishing Widdell Pool inside of the park on Sharkey Drive. Now, City Council approved the demolition plans at the pool, which has been closed since 2014. Plans are to eventually give this some new life, put in a splash pad at this location with a goal of groundbreaking for 2023. So parents, you can make some plans next summer. And if you live in Hubbard, listen up. First Energy says eastern parts of the city will be without power for about 6 hours on Wednesday. So make some plans ahead. Right now, the lights will be out from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're working to get more information, a complete map of where the power will be out. But we are told areas near Bedford, Shelton, and Wheeler roads, those will be in the dark at that time. But again, we're working to get more maps and information from First Energy. The State Casino Control Commission votes this week if Hollywood Gaming can offer sports betting. The Austintown Casino and Raceway wants to offer in-person and app-based betting. And Hollywood Gaming's website is already putting money on this, on its getting approval, promoting a partnership with Barstool's Sportsbook that would allow bets to be placed through Barstool Sports. And there's a survey up right now on Hollywood Gaming's website asking visitors which sports they're interested in betting on. I can only imagine which football teams might come up on that list, Andrew. So I don't know if you have a favorite team, but football season's right around the corner.
It's here, Lindsay. Yeah, we're enjoying it. We're not enjoying necessarily the weather of football season. That's not here just yet, but certainly that'll be interesting, something for us to watch out for, something we'll be definitely following and talking about and following up with here in the next few months, coming months. And overall today, the main story, everything everybody was talking about, certainly that EF0 tornado that we just talked about, but certainly that flash flooding that unfortunately yet again hit areas of Boardman Township, into Poland, and even Struthers. But up towards Trumbull County, even Mercer County, they had some decent rain as well, picking up 2.5 to even 3+ inches of rain. But certainly the majority of that damage was concentrated in the Boardman Township area, unfortunately, after they just saw some pretty bad damage back in 2019. Overall, though, really can't even tell where those rainfall amounts have fallen across the valley. Not much, but off to our west and our southwest, northern central Ohio, kind of had what we saw yesterday. They had that flash flooding, flood advisories for portions of eastern Ohio, but this is 4 or 5 inches of rain that fell just south of the Mansfield area. They received what we got yesterday. Thankfully, not much rain today. We are seeing a few raindrops at the moment out in Niles on our Briarfield healthcare traffic camera. You can see these coming down actually a decent pace as temperatures drop into the low 70s out across the Eastwood Mall and the Niles area. But overall, there's one cell on radar. This is sinking from the Warren area, Bristol, Johnstown, down towards Fowler, and moving off to the southeast. So Vienna, Brookfield, Hubbard, you're in the way next of this more moderate shower. Not necessarily heavy rain with this, but a little bit more intense in nature as it sinks off to the southeast. Thankfully moving pretty quick as well. Currently under a flood watch for all 5 counties of our viewing area, and a good chunk of the Buckeye State and into Pennsylvania under that same flood watch as well. As we go forward into tonight, going to watch for a few showers popping up here over the next few hours. After that, though, just expect things to quiet down as we head past sunset tonight and then into early tomorrow morning. Things tonight, though, falling back into the mid-60s into early tomorrow morning. Might deal with a little bit of fog as we head into our Monday night and into our Tuesday morning. This will be pretty brief, might be dense from time to time as we get going just before sunrise on Tuesday. Overall, Tuesday, though, not going to see much in the morning, but it's the second half of the day where we might deal with a scattered shower or two, so we'll keep a close eye on that. Temperatures tomorrow, though, mid-70s, upper 70s on Wednesday. Get a nice break Thursday and Friday as we get back into the 80s, and then showers return for the weekend. Might have a shower or two around as the Penguins take on the Dayton Flyers on Saturday. We'll have much more on the forecast here, and of course you can download the Storm Tracker 21 app for that forecast 24/7. First, 21 News at 5. We'll be back after this break.
This Storm Tracker Storm Cam is brought to you by Tom Duma Fine Jewelers, the Mahoning Valley's premier jewelry destination.
Tonight on 21 News, if you live in Boardman, you may recall the Great Flood 3 years ago. This weekend, it happened yet again. What is the township doing to solve their water woes? One of the businesses hit hardest from the flood was Save-A-Lot in Boardman Plaza. 21 News is looking into the cleanup efforts and how other businesses are working through this ordeal. Tonight at 6.
At Sheely, we're getting closer to the November midterms, and Ohio is yet again in the spotlight nationally with the battle for the open U.S. Senate seat. Joining me now to talk about what direction the voters could go in on this and much more is NBC moderator of Meet the Press, Chuck Todd. Chuck, thank you so much for joining us here on our brand new 5 p.m. Newscast.
Excellent. Happy to.
Congrats. Yeah, so, Chuck, the race for the U.S. Senate seat has voters talking here. Valley Congressman Tim Ryan says he's all of a sudden shifted to become an independent and not a Democrat. J.D. Vance was MIA from the airwaves campaign trail until actually just a few weeks ago. Republicans were saying, where is our candidate? So do you think Republicans face a challenge with an unknown candidate in a state that has already leaned red in a lot of statewide races in the past few election cycles?
Yeah, look, if this were generic R, generic D, we wouldn't be talking about this race. We'd say that Republicans are going to win. A generic, do you want to see a Republican senator or a Democratic senator? But, candidates matter. No matter how red or blue a state is, candidates matter. And in this case, I think J.D. Vance, he came out of a very divisive primary. He's also been a new candidate, been a little loose, not very disciplined on the trail, has said some things that have become easy fodder for the Democrats to exploit. And then he just simply did what I've noticed with a lot of quasi-celebrity candidates in that they think this is easier than it is. And he seemed to almost take a break from the campaign trail for a few months, not just a week or two after the primary. And he kind of disappeared. I think he went to overseas for
Jerusalem.
A conservative conference of sorts. And so it was, I do think this is a case where J.D. Vance has not run a good campaign. He's not been a good candidate. And Tim Ryan has been a good candidate, has run a really good campaign, and he's really tried hard to appeal to the middle, even center right, a bit on certain issues, particularly on trade policy and things like that. So I think this is a combination of Ryan's outspending him, Ryan's outworking him, and at the end of the day, I think Republicans are nervous that Vance isn't simply working hard enough for this.
Yeah,
for this
wondering
race.
maybe if a Matt Dolan or like a Jane Timken who understands the manufacturing sector would have been a better choice. It's hard to say.
I don't think this would be, by the way, we wouldn't be talking about this race being competitive, I think, if either Dolan or Timken were the nominee.
Yeah, now let's move on to Ryan's record a little bit, though. He's voted 100% with Biden. Widely known that, this is his Hail Mary. If he doesn't win, he's redistricted out. So voters maybe see through that as saying, okay, can he really say he's a Joe Manchin when he's already voted along party lines, including the Build Back Better bill that Manchin stood against? Does he face a little bit of a fight there?
Well, look, I think that's why Republicans are going to, sometimes the national party walks away from a campaign because they think a candidate isn't working hard enough. But sometimes they go and bail the candidate out because they know it's a winnable race. And in this case, national money's coming in to help out Vance because they believe if you simply run an ad with what you just said, hey, Tim Ryan, you may like the guy you've seen on TV, but did you know he votes 100% of the time with Joe Biden? And you start to say that over and over again. The more he seems like a partisan Democrat, I think the harder it is to get to 50% for Ryan. Now, Ryan knows this, and he's in some ways following a path of Sherrod Brown did in 2018. Now, Sherrod Brown had the benefit of a little bit of wind nationally at the back. Democrats had a little more wind at their back in 2018 than the Republicans, and that might be happening again. This is where, what's funny about the abortion issue is before the Dobbs decision, Tim Ryan was not going to want to be talking a lot about abortion for fear it was going to alienate some voters. But now that the debate is about whether any abortion should be legal or not, I think Ryan sees an opening there as well. So, it could be that the entire shape of the national atmosphere has changed and Ryan actually will benefit from wind at his back.
Oh yeah, we're seeing that debate heat up here in the state of Ohio. Couples reporting they have to leave the state for fear of the mother's health if they don't do an abortion. And really Nan Whaley's hoping this happens, that this drives the voters to the polls because she's behind Governor Mike DeWine and he's running for re-election. Yeah. She says the polls are close, though. The ones we're seeing show him in the lead. Do you think that the voters that are going to register now, many in the wake of the abortion rights issue, Roe v. Wade was overturned, we saw a big jump in voter registration here in the state. Do you think that's enough to take out someone like a Mike DeWine, who's been an established Republican governor? He's served in every other state office, and he's well known to the voters.
Look, I think Mike DeWine's going to be tough to beat for Nan Whaley for another reason, not just that he's so well known. He's not a Trumper, right? I mean, if anything, during COVID, he was. Some accused him of being a never Trumper. Now, he never went that far. He's always tried to walk a line, but doesn't embrace Trump. He somehow kept Trump from totally engaging in his primary, but that was obviously of concern to him. And, I'm sure in the media, Governor DeWine, sort of was somebody very easy to interview for a period of time. And then as the primary got closer, he seemed to be careful not to get too involved in media discussions. So, look, I do think the fact that he has an easier time distancing himself from Trump it probably makes him a little bit safer than a Vance would be in the Senate race. But I do think that Nan Whaley is going to benefit. Look, Ohio may be leaning red, but it isn't Idaho. So look, I think Nan Whaley's going to get to 45. The question is, can the abortion issue bring her more competitive and get her closer to 50? And we'll see.
We'll see if there's an October surprise. We always wait for that. Ohio used to be a key battleground state pre-Trump, and as you mentioned, we have moved a little more red. Post-Trump, not so much. I'm wondering if Trump's not on the ticket in 2024. Let's say that doesn't happen. Does Ohio move back into play a little more than it is right now?
I think it really depends on what kind of candidate. I don't think a Mitt Romney-style Republican can carry Ohio. I do think that, you ask yourself this: what do J.D. Vance, Sherrod Brown, Tim Ryan, and Donald Trump all have in common? They have the same position on trade. They're pretty tough on China. They all like to say, let's bring more jobs back to, So my point is this: I think if you're sort of part of the business wing of either party, you're going to get rejected in Ohio. I do think what made Ohio move more decidedly red in the last 6 years is that the Republican Party moved away from the business wing. So I think it really depends on who's the next face of the party after Trump to really determine if Ohio moves back into the swing state battleground.
Yeah, we can say again, so goes Ohio, so goes the nation. We'll find out. We'll follow you on Sundays. I think you'll have plenty to say about it. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lindsay. You got it. Congrats again.
Thank you. All right, and here after the nightly news, this is a look at the rest of our evening lineup. American Ninja Warriors, that's up at 8 o'clock, followed by The Weakest Link at 10. Then stay tuned, as always, for 21 News at 11. Now, it is Labor Day, and the state of our labor force is really still...
Want a little more weather? Check out Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm's Weather for Weather Geeks, posted every weekday evening.
Welcome back. It is Labor Day, and the state of our labor force is still trying to recover from the pandemic. Today, we actually took a drive down Belmont Avenue in Liberty, where you can find hiring signs at several locations, including Uptown Pizza, AutoZone, Dollar Tree, and more. They're hard to miss. So here to explain what's really happening within several sectors of our local economy is the chair of the School of Business at Westminster College, my friend, Dr. Bob Badowski. Bob, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me, and congratulations on the show.
Thank you so much. I asked you to look into some different sectors of our local economy. Let's start with education. Kids are back in school. Districts still struggling. Preschools, daycares, they don't have enough staff. How long are we going to face this shortage, and what's happening in this field?
Well, I think we're going to be having this shortage for a while, unfortunately. I think what's happened in this field, COVID really hit this field hard. In that, it's difficult, first of all, to find teachers and keep them for a while. But secondly, with all the things that teachers had to go through with COVID and some of the political villainization of teachers, it has become a problem. I've noticed on the college side that enrollments for students who want to be teachers has even been falling there. So it's going to take a while to catch back up, unfortunately.
What about the medical sector? We saw some retirements in nursing and in the medical field. Youngstown State Nursing Program, their director there said they don't even have enough nurses in our area to meet the aging population demand in Northeast Ohio. What can be done to fix this one?
Well, I think more nursing schools. I think better conditions for nurses. There's a high burnout rate for nurses. I think it's about 37% of nurses burn out within the first year or two. It's a really challenging job, long hours. So I think until conditions get better, but until more nurses enter the field, conditions are going to continue to be pretty bad because they have to fill in the time gaps.
Okay, what about, any other professional degree job? You think hiring is going to be an uphill battle, or do you think in some cases things are going okay?
Well, I think hiring right now is always an uphill battle. Like you just mentioned, you were driving through town and there were a lot of help wanted signs, and I see those all the time as well. There are a lot of reasons for that. COVID hit again hard with that, and then there were government payouts to folks. And frankly, younger folks aren't working part-time jobs as much. I think, our generation who has kids that those ages say to the kids, well, we had to work at those ages, so we don't want you to work at those ages, stay home. Students are staying, or younger people are staying home with their parents longer. They're on health care until they're 25. So there are a lot of factors that go into that maybe a lot of younger students or kids don't have to work.
Real quick, last question here. A lot of these managers are just trying to find candidates. What would be your advice if you're looking at the market right now, seeing the signs that you've seen? Could this turn around? Do they need to go find some recruiters? What do they do?
Well, recruiting is a huge business right now. I know we have a human resource degree at Westminster, and one of the things that we're always getting requests for are recruiters. So for different things. So I think a recruiter wouldn't be a bad idea at the time.
All right.
Younger workers are looking for perks. They're looking for days off and those types of things.
Okay.
They're not as concerned about working and making money. They just want to work to kind of just
All
make
right,
the money
thanks,
and then have free time.
All right, that's all the time we have here on the 5 o'clock news. Lots more news to dig into tomorrow. Your 6 p.m. news starts right now.
Hi everyone, and good Monday evening. A couple of major weather stories across the valley over the last 24 hours. One, of course, the tornado in Boardman. This was confirmed to be an EF0 tornado early in the evening on Sunday. And also around Boardman, other parts of Mahoning County, we've had a lot of rain over the last 24 hours. Of course, most of this occurring Sunday evening. We're not quite out of the woods yet. Showers still here and there tonight into tomorrow. A low-end flash flood risk once again for our Tuesday. We'll have more details coming up. 21 News at 6 starts right now.
The Valley's watchdog station.
21 News at 6.
This is 21 News.
Businesses reeling from the aftermath of immense flooding in Boardman. How the township says it's alleviated some flooding within the last 3 years, but still has a long way to go.
We take a tour of some of those damaged businesses along Route 224 and how they're cleaning up, how long they may have to stay closed.
And safety measures at the Canfield Fair. What the fair is doing after shots were fired Saturday night, and why its security measures may only go so far.
The Valley's watchdog station. This is 21 News, 6 p.m.
After monumental rainfall Sunday night, 24 hours later, we're seeing a cloudy and calmer scene. This is a live look at Route 224 and Market Street in Boardman. At this time last night, a confirmed EF0 tornado came down near the Southern Park Mall. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight.
As we head into the final hours of this year's Canfield Fair, we have another big concert starting in about an hour. But will there be another muddy mess again? And how is parking and transportation going to be implemented? Also, what security measures are in place?
For those answers, we head out to Aaron Simonek, who's at the fair as crowds are starting to pour in. So, Aaron, what have you learned?
Yeah, Derek Madison, if you went to the Sam Hunt concert like me, you know that it really was a muddy mess getting out of there. So tonight, John Fogerty is still supposed to kick off at 7. I'm seeing some concert goers starting to line up. Gates do open in just a little bit for that